Hello, I'm Jason Roeder, and this is my partner in ministry and life, my wife, Angela. We're having so much fun trying to get this recording and video right. We both started FCA when we were in high school. I was in Amro, Wisconsin, about 16 years old. I was about 1990.
And I was in Annapolis with the Naval Academy. My dad was a chaplain there.
I've been a student huddle leader and a coach huddle leader in Sandy, Oregon at Sandy High School. We've been asked to share on the love language of physical touch. And this is my favorite love language. It's one of mine, and so I'm excited to share. But I would have to say this. This is probably one of the most misunderstood of the 5 love languages, because many people think physical touch is mostly about touching that leads to sex. And while that's a great byproduct, there's so much more about physical touch for you to understand. There's different ways that physical touch communicates things to your spouse. But before we talk about that, let's look at how Jesus used this love language in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 8, verses 1 through 3. The context is this. In biblical times, there were people who were considered outcasts. It's very same and very true today, right? Some were outcasts because of immoral sin or things that they committed publicly. Others were outcasts because of sickness or disease, or think of a pandemic, right? Well, leprosy was very bad. It was not only bad physically because your flesh was falling off, but it was very bad socially. The law separated unclean from the clean people because only those who were ceremonially clean could worship at the temple. So touching someone or something that was unclean would make you unable to go to church. So lepers were commanded to cry out, "Unclean, unclean," if they had anyone that they approached. So it's super embarrassing.
But in Matthew 8, 1 through 3, Jesus does something most Jews would find repulsive.
Yeah.
He actually touched a
the
leper.
It says, when he had come from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, a leper came and worshipped him, saying, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Then Jesus put out his hand and touched him, saying, "I am willing, be cleansed." And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. Now let's think about this. What was the significance of this touch? Jesus didn't have to touch him. He could have just said it and spoke a few words, but he did touch the man. He reached out his hand and he touched the untouchable. What do you think this communicated to the leper? That Jesus didn't consider him an outcast. That he was loved and accepted in his eyes. So physical touch can communicate love, respect, and acceptance to your spouse as well.
Now, Jesus showed this with children. He wanted them to all come in, and he welcomed them. And the disciples were going, "No, no, no, go away, go away." And Jesus was like, "No, bring them along. I want to minister to them. I want to hold them. I want to touch them." He just wanted to love on them.
That's right. When the disciples brought the children, Jesus saw them pushing them away. And he was very displeased. And he said, "Let the children come to me, and do not forbid them, for such is the kingdom of God. Assuredly, I say to you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God is like a little child, will be not allowed to enter." And he took them in his arms, the kids, and he put hands on them. And it says he blessed them in Mark 10, verse 16. Now, let's be honest. There are times in all of our marriages when we feel discouraged or disappointed because, well, we're being a little unlovable or we're having a disagreement. I would call it a growth talk because it's talks that help you grow, right? And those are the moments that we need to understand how our love languages and physical touch can help us.
So when that occurs, putting a hand on your spouse to let them know it is not between us. The conflict or the issue we're talking about is out here in front of us.
It's
And
like us
we're a
versus
team.
them or
Yeah.
the problem, but it doesn't have to come between.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're a team, and always a team.
If you're a spouse of someone who is touchy-feely like me and really appreciates physical touch in the marriage, when you're having conflict, don't forget to at least just put your hand on their shoulder, or at least if you're feeling you don't want to touch this person right now, just remember touching them really does communicate, "I still love you, honey, but we need to get through this," and so don't remove that. Andy Stanley is a pastor in Atlanta, Georgia, and he talks about the busy schedule And the weight of being a coach or in ministry is mentally and emotionally taxing. And he talks about if you're going to cheat on anyone in that scenario, cheat on the church or cheat on your team. And what he's talking about is take time for your spouse. Don't keep stealing from them. Now, you know as well as I do as a coach, when you're in season, it is a big challenge to have time for your family, let alone your spouse. So one of the things we learned from a ministry mentor that really helped us, a couple, is schedule vacation time immediately after your season. Or schedule a 3-day weekend during a break so that you can spend quality time and reconnect with your spouse. Yes?
Yeah.
Right on. Here's another thing. When you do have those crazy seasons, just don't forget, as a spouse that's supporting someone who's heavily involved in coaching or in ministry, just recognize the way that you can encourage them through this love language of touch. It could be a simple kiss that you blow them on their way out the door. An act of physical touch still makes you feel loved, and it fills our tank. Would you say anything else about physical touch in marriage?
I think it's just important to always know that you guys are on a team together
Yeah.
and that you love each other no matter what you're going through.
Yeah, right on. Here's a couple questions for you to consider. When leading out of your marriage, you want to make your marriage your first priority. You want to make your marriage your passion, your greatest gospel message. What are some things you can work on, or one thing you can work on as a couple that you would love to see yourselves grow in the next few weeks? Another question would be, if there's something that you would like more of or less of in the area of physical touch from your spouse, be willing to communicate that to them and not expect that they're going to read your mind or just figure it out, but that to lovingly share, these are the things that make me feel loved. And don't forget that the conflict is never between.
That's right. It's not here.
No, it's
out
out there. It's us versus them, right? So we're so happy that we got a chance to share with you, and we just really hope and pray that during your busiest times of coaching and in ministry and busyness, that you guys will take time to show love and take time to invest in each other and really do what you do out of the overflow of your relationship in your marriage. And hopefully all those things glorify God. Thank you for listening, and God bless you in your ministry and your coaching, and
And bless your marriage.
bless your marriage. Take care. Love you.
Bye.